YouTube, what's happening with y'all? This is Nocturnal. Welcome to Nocturnal Thoughts. I'm just gonna cover a few things real quick, then I'm gonna get out of y'all way. I appreciate y'all time. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. All my subscribers, salute. Um, just a real quick little video on Spence versus Sean Showtime Porter. Watching the press conference last night, and just very interesting. Um, you know, I respect both fighters. Um, you know, it was interesting to see how the dialect between those two guys uh, started to spiral. You know, almost if those guys might have been you know, holding back a little bit of um, ill will, and it's just now coming out. Um, Mostly on Sean Porter's side. I think that Sean Porter, Kenny Porter, and Sean Porter was very meticulous and careful about edifying their words. It was almost like they really did not want to wake up the sleeping bear. They didn't want to poke the lion, but they couldn't. They couldn't help it because certain things you just have to acknowledge when you're talking about Sean Porter versus Errol Spence. If you're going to look at it based off of facts, then there's just certain things that you have to acknowledge. And if you try to acknowledge them, you look like you are, you know, eating around the bush, or beating around the bush, or you're tap dancing instead of just being direct. Sometimes Sean Porter was being direct, but it was very careful. Kenny Porter was, you know, pretty much. I know they already know what it is. They already know what it is. Let me ask you guys a real quick question. Have you ever seen the movie that 50 Cent did, All Things Fall Apart? This is where the movie where 50 Cent lost all that weight. He was playing a real life character, football guy in college that had cancer, and he tried to make a comeback from cancer, but at the end he couldn't do it. He succumbed to cancer. If y'all remember that movie, at the end of that movie, he threw an all-white party, all-white, WHITE party for his mother. And at the end, it just showed him kind of take off down the field. He was dressed in the all-white suit, all-white tuxedo suit. At the end, he kind of threw his hands up. What that was basically acknowledging was he was taking his last run on the field, and from that point on, that was his last hoorah. That was his big going out moment. Dressed in all white, nice, pretty white suit, taking his last lap, his victory lap, and then he submits to cancer. That is what Sean Porter looked like to me at the press conference. Pearly white suit and all. He knows what time it is. His father knows what time it is. You know, the thing is, I respect Sean Porter for taking that fight. And he couldn't really trash talk. He was not able. Sean Porter is not good at talking trash anyway. But when you talk trash against somebody that knows, you know there's nothing that you can say or do to sway the outcome of the fight, then it's very hard for you to try to talk stuff that you know you can't back up, and you're not a trash talker. It's not like you're Conor McGregor or Adrian Broner that can just, you know, throw everything to the wind and start talking real reckless even though you don't have to back it up. Sean Porter has that type of integrity where he wants to back up the things he says, but he knows that it's not a possibility. There's no way around it. He can't fight the outside fight and win because he's not a pure boxer. He didn't look great against Ugas. He can't fight the outside fight, and he can't get in the telephone booth with Errol Spence. And that's his style. That's his fight. That's the only chance he has to even show some glimpse of that's the only, basically the only option he has to even look competitive against Errol Spence is if he can get rough and get in the inside and do some damage. But Sean Porter doesn't have that ability physically. He doesn't have the power physically to hurt Errol Spence in the inside, nor does he have he just does not have the physical gifts to get in the telephone booth with Errol Spence and rumble. Just like Errol Spence said, we can do it either way you want to do it. And he meant that. And he's in the way Errol Spence was responding. He was trying his best to stay reserved, but you could see that, Sean Porter just couldn't resist but to take a little bit of jab. And as soon as he takes a jab, Errol Spence just comes with a power shot. It's like you can see in the press conference what's going to happen inside the ring. Whenever Sean Porter even thinks about trying to be aggressive, Errol Spence is going to turn up the heat and cook him. And that's just that. I can't dwell on that too much because it's obvious. It's painfully obvious that we all know what's about to happen. So just let this one unfold out. Errol Spence is just too dominant for this guy. And like I say, I respect Sean Porter, and I have to salute him for taking this fight, even though I really don't think he had a choice except to take this fight. On to the next. I don't know if this is fake news. I tried to find some kind of cross-reference to see if this was, could be confirmed. But I was watching my guy, I think his name is Phenon International, and he made a quick video about Eddie Hearn, accusing Manny Pacquiao of taking PEDs to be able to perform the way he did against, Showtime, against One Time, should I say. He had to take performance enhancers at 40 years old. He had to take PEDs to look as good as he did against One Time. And then I turn around and watch another video that's saying that Eddie Hearn was trying to sign Pacquiao to DAZN. So I'm not sure exactly how factual that is on either side of those stories. But I'm going to be honest when it comes to this whole PED thing, because it's going to keep coming up and keep coming up. PEDs have always been around any sport since the beginning of any sport. Since the beginning of any sport, there has always been some type of a performance enhancement that goes hand in hand with sports, period. You're not going to get it out of boxing. And the thing is, if two fighters can have a gentleman's agreement, then that's the closest thing you're going to get to an even playing field. It does not matter if Manny Pacquiao had taken PEDs for that fight or not. There are certain things that PEDs won't change in a fighter. Every man and every woman, every athlete has their physical limitations and they have their physical gifts. PEDs are performance enhancing, but the mentality you have to be a great cannot be synthetically given to you from a steroid. Any kind of synthetic thing that you do outside to increase your performance, it still doesn't back up your mental fortitude. And some of those shots that Manny Pacquiao was taking from Keith Thurman, those straight shots that was coming in that was crushing Manny Pacquiao, he showed that he had a young chin. And you only can give so much of that to whether or not he was even taking a performance enhance. because there's plenty of guys that take performance enhancing drugs, steroids, and are huge and have huge necks and no chins. To have a strong chin and to be able to take a shot and mentally keep coming, it takes more than a PED to accomplish that. So there's only so much that the PED is going to do in that case. I mean, I'm not going to say no names, but we've seen guys with necks this big that most likely were taking some kind of testosterone or some kind of performance enhancement or some kind of growth hormone, and they still can't take a shot to the chin. They get knocked out. So it doesn't matter how yoked you become off of a synthetic if you're not blessed with the mentality to go with it. If you're not blessed with what you have to do to train, and to train smart, and to train in a fashion to where you just are willing to go into the lion's den and come out on the other side, and all of those things that are attributed to athletes that exceed to the highest levels. So I'm not going to harp on that because I don't know how true it is about Eddie Hearn, but you know what? All this does is for people that know, it just makes Manny Pacquiao look that much more greater. And once again, salute to the vet. Looking forward to see what One Time going to do next. And you know, like I said, we'll wait and see what how this whole fight plays out with Sean Porter and Errol Spence. But if you watch that press conference, the first thing that my boy said, the first thing that Showtime Sean Porter said was, "What time is it? What time is it?" And you can tell he had a nice group of people that was there to support him and crutch him and be his crutch, hold him up. And they all said showtime. But honestly, I think everybody knows what time it is. This is Nocturnal Thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this little quick video. If you did, hit the subscribe button, leave me a thumbs up in the comment. And I forget your name, but I got a shirt on for you today, man. So hey, I thank you for your comment and your time. Peace until next time. I'm out. This is Nocturnal Thoughts.